What happens when international trade meets the political loyalty? US President Donald Trump has slapped a 50% tariff on Brazilian exports, but this move isn't really about trade. It's about Bolsonaro. Let's break down why Brazil isn't Trump's crosshairs and what it tells us about the merging of politics, populism, and global economics, and why countries in South Asia should be paying attention. Most of Trump's tariff letters have been boilerplate, talking about unfair trade and non-reciprocal relations.
I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them.
But his letter to Brazilian president was different. It was personal and it was confrontational. Trump accused Brazil of attacking free elections and the free speech rights of Americans, and based on that, he announced a 50% tax on all Brazilian goods entering the US on top of existing tariffs. But why now? Well, because of Jair Bolsonaro, Brazil's far-right former president and Trump's ideological twin. Bolsonaro is currently on trial for allegedly trying to overturn the 2022 elections after losing narrowly to Lula. Like Trump, Bolsonaro also refused to concede.
Will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
No.
The current popular movements are the fruit of indignation and a feeling of injustice about how the election process took place.
And like terms, his supporters stormed government buildings in Brasilia. Prosecutors say Bolsonaro even considered declaring a state of siege and arresting Supreme Court justices to cancel the election. One plan reportedly discussed was poisoning Lula. Bolsonaro denies all the charges and calls the trial a political witch hunt. Sounds familiar? So Trump isn't just sympathizing, he's acting. His direct move is meant to pressure Lula to drop the charges. He also directed the US Trade Representative to launch a formal investigation into Brazil under the Trade Act of 1974. But yes, there is a but. The US already runs a trade surplus with Brazil. In 2024, the US exported $49.7 billion to Brazil, $7.4 billion more than it imported. So that this isn't about trade imbalance, it's about ideological alignment, and Trump has a long record of using tariffs for leverage, not just on trade but also on issues like immigration, tax policy, and drugs.
Said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. And we stopped the nuclear conflict.
You know, we have they call biting, they are very biting sanctions. And I would love to be able to, at the right time, take those sanctions off, give them a chance at rebuilding. A lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. Looking at it, yeah, no, I'm looking. The Senate is passed very, very tough sanctions, but yeah, I'm looking at it.
Now he is using them as a tool of ideological solidarity and to protect an ally, defend populism, and attack a political rival on the global stage. Lula, for his part, has brushed it off, saying that the world has changed and it doesn't want an emperor anymore.
Não queremos imperador. Nós somos países soberanos. Ora, se ele achar que ele pode taxar, os países têm o direito de taxar também.
Nevertheless, the fallout from Bolsonaro's trial is not just a Brazilian story. It's now the part of a new global front lines of populist politics and a moment for concern, especially for the developing countries in South Asia. And there are lessons to learn, because trade isn't just about economics anymore. As Brazil has learned, internal politics developments can trigger international retaliation. South Asian countries should recognize that foreign policy and domestic politics are increasingly linked in global trade. Also, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Brazil's dependence on US trade made it vulnerable. South Asian economies must diversify their partners, invest in regional blocs, and build ties with emerging markets to avoid being strong-armed by any single power. And diplomacy matters. Brazil's balancing act between the US and China shows that nuanced foreign policy is crucial. South Asia, which also treads a fine line between major powers, must guard its strategic autonomy. Plus regulatory reform and resilience. Investing in trade facilitation, digital standards, and supply chains resilience can help withstand political shocks and maintain stability. And perhaps most importantly, domestic politics is foreign policy. The Brazil case is a reminder that what happens at home, elections, prosecution, and rest can reshape trade and diplomacy abroad. For countries across South Asia, the Trump's tariff war in Brazil is a warning worth heeding. For more, subscribe to DawnNews English.